What if the thing causing the most stress, the most fear, the most dissatisfaction in your life wasn't actually real? That's the core of Alan Watts' message, and it hits harder than most people are ready for. Because, according to Watts, the biggest illusion you've been living under, the one driving so much of your anxiety, is the belief that you are separate. Separate from life. Separate from others. Separate from the universe itself. And because of that belief, you're constantly trying to control everything. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Your feedback helps shape what we cover next. And you being here keeps the conversation going. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. From the moment you wake up, you're in management mode, trying to shape your future, protect your identity, win approval, avoid failure, chase happiness. But Watts makes it painfully clear that chase never ends. It's a loop, and it's all based on a fundamental misunderstanding of who you are and how life actually works. He calls it the illusion of separateness. The idea that you are a tiny, isolated being navigating a universe that's out there, cold, indifferent, and unpredictable. That mindset creates fear. Fear of loss. Fear of failure. Fear of not being enough. So what do? You try to control it. Plan, predict, strategize, manipulate. You treat life like it's a problem to solve. But control, Watts says, is a myth. It's the biggest false promise of all. And the more you cling to it, the more disconnected and powerless you feel. Watts' entire philosophy is about tearing that illusion down, not intellectually, but experientially. He doesn't want you to think differently. He wants you to see differently. Because when you stop identifying as a separate self, trying to survive in a hostile universe, and start seeing yourself as an expression of that universe, as something within the flow, not outside of it, everything changes. You stop resisting life. You stop fighting for control. You stop believing you have to earn joy, or chase peace, or prove your worth. Instead, you start living from a place of alignment, of trust, of presence. That's what Watts meant when he said life is like a river. It flows, it moves, it shifts and changes. And the people who suffer the most are the ones trying to swim upstream, obsessed with controlling the current, rather than moving with it. He's not talking about giving up or being passive. He's talking about something much more powerful: surrender. Letting go of the illusion that you need to make life happen, that you need to fix yourself, that happiness is somewhere out there, just beyond the next achievement. Instead, Watts says, what if it's already here? What if fulfillment isn't a goal, but a state you've always had access to, just buried under layers of striving and fear? He explains that true freedom comes not from getting what you want, but from realizing you already have everything you need, right now, in this moment, without needing to change anything. That shift from effort to presence, from control to trust, completely flips the script. Because once you let go of the need to control outcomes, you actually become more resilient, more effective, more grounded. You act from clarity, not desperation, from confidence, not scarcity. And ironically, that's when things start to flow. Not because you forced them to, but because you stopped resisting. You stopped treating life like an enemy and started participating in it fully, freely, without fear. Watts draws from Zen, Taoism, and Vedanta to make his point, but the message is universal. When you stop identifying with your mind, your thoughts, your stories, your anxieties, and start resting in awareness itself, you stop being trapped by the past or paralyzed by the future. You begin to live in the only place that's real, now. And now is where everything happens. Regret, past, anxiety, future. The present is where joy lives, where clarity lives, where action becomes effortless. Because you're not acting from fear anymore. You're not trying to manipulate every moment to make it safe. You're not trying to prove anything. You're just being fully alive, fully present, and fully engaged. And that, Watts says, is where true power comes from. Not effort, not control, but trust. He compares it to holding sand. The tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. But when you relax your hand, it stays. That's the paradox. Letting go gives you more than clinging ever could. And this isn't just philosophy, it's practice. It's how you breathe when you're anxious, how you respond when plans fall apart, how you move through uncertainty without collapsing. Because uncertainty isn't the enemy, it's the nature of life. Trying to control it is like trying to command the wind. It doesn't work. It only creates suffering. But when you let go, when you stop resisting, when you flow with life, instead of against it, that's when everything opens up. Not because you forced it, but because you aligned with what was already there. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Your feedback helps shape what we cover next. And you being here keeps the conversation going. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Watts isn't offering a life hack. He's offering liberation. Not through effort, but through awareness, through presence, through seeing clearly that the only thing standing between you and peace is the belief that you need to get there. You don't. You're already there. You've just been distracted by the noise. When you drop that noise, when you stop clinging to control, when you stop identifying with fear, you return to what you've always been: whole, complete, connected, free. That's the escape. Not from life, but from the illusion that you're separate from it. If that hits something deep, like the pressure to constantly strive or the anxiety of needing to have it all figured out, you're not alone. Drop a comment and share what this opens up for you. Hit like if this helped you breathe a little easier, and subscribe for more grounded breakdowns that cut through the noise and go straight to the truth. Alan Watts doesn't hand you a checklist. He doesn't say, here's the 5-step plan to enlightenment. Because for him, the whole idea of achieving enlightenment is part of the illusion. It's just another thing we chase. Another goal on the endless treadmill of becoming. You know, the one, once I get the job, once I fix my relationship, once I feel confident, then I'll finally be okay. That mindset, that's the trap. It never ends. And Watts doesn't just challenge it, he dismantles it. Because if you're always trying to get there, you're never actually here. And here, according to Watts, is the only place life is happening. So why do we run from it? Why do we stay trapped in the illusion that something else, somewhere else, some version of us that's better, richer, more lovable, that person will be the one who finally arrives? Watts says, that version of you is a fantasy. It's built by the ego, which is constantly comparing, measuring, and worrying. It whispers that you're not enough yet, but maybe if you try hard enough, suffer long enough, succeed big enough, you might become enough. And that's the lie. The truth: you were never separate. You were never lacking. You don't need to become someone. You already are. You are not a disconnected self struggling against the universe. You are the universe, expressing itself in a temporary, unique, ever-changing form. That's the real shock. That's the deepest illusion, the belief that you are in control of your life, as if you're operating the world from behind a control panel in your head. Watts flips that idea completely. He says the self, the I, we cling to is not the master of the ship. It's not the doer. It's not separate. It's more like a wave thinking it's separate from the ocean. You're not in the universe. You are the universe. And the second you stop clinging to control, you don't become powerless, you become free. Now, this kind of freedom is different from what most people think of. It's not the ability to do whatever you want whenever you want. It's not about dominating life. It's about participating in it, flowing with it, letting go of resistance so you can finally be. Watts points out that so much of our suffering comes from our refusal to accept this truth. We resist change. We resist loss. We resist uncertainty. We want guarantees. We want control. But the more we grasp, the more we lose our grip. And this resistance, it's not just mental, it's physical. It's tension in your body. It's anxiety in your chest. It's restlessness in your gut. It's your whole system trying to hold on to a reality that's always in motion. Life is change. Life is flow. Life is uncertainty. And the sooner you stop fighting that, the sooner you feel the relief of finally letting go. Not in a careless way, but in a conscious, clear, and powerful way. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means waking up. It means recognizing that no amount of effort will ever give you permanent control. It means seeing that chasing certainty is like trying to grab fog. It looks solid until you reach for it. Then it disappears. So what can you do? You can drop the illusion. You can return to the present. You can stop identifying with the endless narrative of the mind and instead rest in the awareness behind it. That's the stillness Watts talks about. Not silence in your environment, but peace in spite of it. A deep, unshakable calm that comes when you stop needing the moment to be different than it is. Because when you stop resisting the moment stops resisting you. And from there, action becomes effortless. Not forced. Not anxious. Not a desperate scramble to fix things. But natural, clear, responsive. It's what Watts refers to as effortless action. You're not acting from fear. You're not chasing or controlling. You're simply doing what needs to be done, without attachment to the outcome. You become like the wind, the river, the trees, fully alive, fully responsive, fully at peace. And this way of living, it doesn't come through willpower. It comes through surrender, through releasing the illusion that you're a separate little self trying to navigate life, and stepping into the truth that life is already moving through you. You are not behind the wheel. You are the road. You're the sky. You're the entire unfolding process. The problem is, we've been conditioned to forget that. From childhood, we're taught to identify as the ego, the name, the story, the achievements, the failures. But Watts says all of that is just a role. It's not you. It's a mask you wear, a tool you use to function in the world. But it's not your identity. It's not your source of peace. And it definitely won't lead to lasting happiness. True happiness, he says, is what remains when the illusion drops away. When you stop needing to become and start being. When you let life live through you instead of trying to control every detail of it. Because let's be honest, has control ever brought you real peace? Has endless planning, analyzing, strategizing, led to lasting fulfillment? Or has it just kept the wheel spinning, pushing you further into the illusion that something's missing? That's the loop Watts wants to help you exit. Not by changing your circumstances, not by fixing your thoughts, but by seeing clearly, seeing that the struggle itself is optional. The moment you let go of needing to get somewhere, you realize you were never lost. The moment you stop trying to become whole, you realize you already were. And what you start to feel is something deeper than happiness, something more stable than excitement, something more lasting than success. You feel freedom, not the kind that comes and goes with your mood or your bank account, but the kind that's always been there underneath the noise, underneath the fear, underneath the ego. That's what Alan Watts is pointing to. Not a theory, not a philosophy, but a direct experience of who you really are. He doesn't want you to understand it. He wants you to live it. And the first step is letting go of the illusion of control, of the idea that you're separate, of the belief that happiness is something you have to earn. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to fix anything. You just need to remember the peace, the clarity, the wholeness. It's already here, always has been. You've just been distracted by the illusion. This illusion of separateness, of control, of not being enough. It's so deeply embedded that most people don't even know they're trapped in it. It's like a fish not knowing it's in water. You've been surrounded by it your whole life, told that you need to strive, hustle, achieve, acquire, and only then will you be okay. Only then will you be secure, loved, fulfilled. But Alan Watts calls it for what it is. A lie that keeps you on a leash. And the leash isn't even real. It's made of thought, of belief, of old conditioning passed down from people who were just as scared, just as unsure, just as disconnected. So you grow up thinking that if you just do the right things, tick all the boxes, hit the milestones, you'll make it. You'll finally feel at peace. But you don't. Because every goal just leads to another. Every success just shifts the standard. Watts says that's because you're playing the wrong game. You're trying to win at a system that was built on the wrong premise. The premise that you're separate from the world. That you're a fragment, an isolated self, trying to navigate a chaotic universe. But what if the opposite is true? What if you're not a stranger to life, but life itself in motion? That's not metaphor. That's the core of what Watts is saying. You're not a drop in the ocean, you are the ocean, in one particular form, for a short time. And when you start to see that, your whole orientation shifts. You stop clinging. You stop striving. You stop pretending that control is the answer, because you realize you're not behind the wheel, you are the movement. Life is not happening to you. It's happening as you. That shift doesn't just bring peace. It brings clarity. You stop trying to manipulate every outcome and start responding to what's actually here. You stop being reactive and start being present. And when you're present, you can finally see not through the lens of fear or scarcity or anxiety, but through the calm of awareness. Watts isn't saying life becomes easy or perfect or pain-free. He's saying that when you stop fighting it, it stops being so heavy. And when you stop resisting reality, you stop suffering. The pain might still come. Discomfort still happens. But the extra layer, the mental weight, the tension, the fear-driven overthinking that disappears. Because that was always optional. And maybe for the first time, you begin to trust life. Not blindly, not passively, but deeply. Because you understand that life isn't something to survive. It's something to flow with. You stop needing to fix every problem or micromanage every moment, because you know you're not in danger. You're part of something bigger, something intelligent, something alive. You stop trying to become someone, and you start being who you already are. That's what Watts means when he says the only reality is the present moment. Everything else is just mental noise. The past, a story. The future, a guess. The present, the only place you can actually live. And once you're here, really here, something beautiful happens. You start to let life breathe through you. You stop being the tight fist and start being the open hand. You move with grace. You act without effort. You speak without fear. This is what surrender really means, not giving up, but giving into what's real. You're no longer clinging to thoughts about life. You're actually experiencing it. And from that place, your actions become aligned. You're not reacting from fear. You're responding from presence, from clarity, from trust. That's why Watts says the joy is already here. The fulfillment is already within. Not because you've earned it, but because it was never missing. It was just buried under layers of not enough. When those layers fall away, what's left isn't emptiness, it's space. Space to breathe. Space to move. Space to feel. And in that space, you discover that peace isn't something you have to chase. It's what's left when you stop chasing. And this has nothing to do with external success. You can live this way with a full bank account or an empty one. In a relationship or alone. In a moment of celebration or heartbreak. Because it's not about the content of your life, it's about your relationship to it. That's what changes. You stop needing every moment to feel good. And you start being okay with whatever it brings. You're not scared of chaos anymore. You're not addicted to certainty. You can sit in the unknown and still feel whole. That's power. And that's what Alan Watts is really pointing to, not a technique, not a belief system, but a seeing, a remembering that you were never lacking, never disconnected, never in need of saving. You just forgot. And the remembering doesn't happen through force. It happens through letting go of effort, letting go of judgment, letting go of the idea that you need to become something more. Because once you let go of all that, you come home. Not to a place, not to an identity, but to a quiet knowing that you are life itself. Whole, enough, free. If you felt even a moment of stillness in this, share it below. What illusion are you ready to drop? Tap the like button if this helped bring some clarity, and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into the truth that's been waiting behind the noise. The freedom is already here, you just have to stop clinging to what was never real.